Hello, trading has closed on February 13th, 2024. We always do our disclaimer first. We'll go over our calls and then we'll make some predictions. It's my trading plan for the 14th of February, 2024. Remember, all trades be made at your own risk. My calls can be wrong. Look for the pattern with the early high, which is this. Tomorrow should have the early low. We thought this was negative action yesterday, and that the optional target 50.47.51 wouldn't print. That didn't print. That's why it's optional. And we'll just cross that one off the list. We did have an ultimate target, 5,006.81 from the 9th of this month, and that did print. Ultimate targets don't have a specific time frame, but usually they don't have to wait long. We have a new ultimate target from today's pattern, 49.57.49. Now when you were dropping down here, that might have looked kind of hard to reach, even though it's just a few points higher now. We should point out we get about 150 ultimate targets a year. And the last one, which didn't print, was in the year 2020. So these things don't always print when you want them to, but they do print. We thought things were pretty negative. We talked about possibility of a high in this area. We've been saying the same thing really for about a week. None of it meant we had a collapse today, but we certainly did, and that all played out. Early on, MEJT said ultimately higher price would print, and they did, but there was an optional lower target as we're rallying to hit this line, which we did. In the afternoon, we had an ultimate buy signal, which hasn't played out yet. Gives us the target of 49.57.49. Almost always you're going to see more than that. We had a lower target and that printed, but MEJT said the lower target was a false move. So all the time we're collapsing here, MEJT says it's going to retrace. And it did. So one of the advantages of the system is that it stops you from chasing moves which aren't going to stick. I mean, this was fun for bears all the way down. But all the way down, the system said it wasn't for keeps. It was going to retrace. So once we turned, anyone who was still short at least could justify exiting the position. Well, here's our chart, our wave count. We had a long-standing target of 5,087. We gave it 14 points leeway. I think the high for this move we said was around 5,048. So it missed the target by about 0.75%. And if this high holds, 0.75% isn't off by all that much. Here's our wave count. Let's focus in on it, see if we can see what's going on. Well, it's possible to count 5 waves up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the fibs work. If this is a high, we should get at least a 38.2% correction of this move. And if we get that, it would take us here. And that would be in a fourth wave of prior degree. So it's conceivable that this could take us into the 4700s. If we got into the 4700s, we could knock off a few of these targets from earlier in the year, which haven't printed yet. This is far too many targets for me. I've never had that many in a fiscal year's time, which stayed. Eventually, they got whittled down quite a lot. So even if we go higher now, I think we're going to see some of these lower numbers at some point. So let's focus in just on wave blue 5. Well, if here's wave blue 5, there isn't really a clear count, but I'm counting this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And if you look at wave 2, A and C are equal. So that's your ABC for 2. And if wave 1 is 61.8%, wave 3 is 100, and wave 5 is equal to wave 3. So even though it isn't the world's prettiest wave 2, all the fibs work and it doesn't break any rules. That would be the end of wave 1 up. Let's see what's happened since then. You can count this either as a 5 or a 3 wave structure. You can count this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the fibs work as you see. You can also count this as A, B, C, and the fibs also work. Doesn't make it the only way to count it, but if it's the right way to count it, you've probably completed wave A of some degree. The implication, now it doesn't have to be as the same degree of these waves. We don't know. But if we've completed wave A of some degree, it would imply we're going to have a wave B up, which hasn't completed yet. And we have further, we have an additional argument for this being the end of this leg. Because of the spike in volumes on futures, you can see these spikes tend to be accompanying market lows. Doesn't have to be exact day, but spikes like that tend to occur near market lows. So that leaves a chance that even though this is the end of wave 1, and I don't think wave black 2 is over, at least we may have completed A of 2 with a rally tomorrow. We gap down, hit lower lows, closed over all these intraday lows, means that hours of drop couldn't stick and didn't accomplish anything. Of course, if we gap down smartly, undercut this low, that idea is killed. That we're not going to know until tomorrow. Well, Wednesday's pattern has the early low regardless of where we open. Typically, it's a rally day with a high in the final hour. If it's weak instead, more weakness should ensue. Today's break needs confirmation by trading under the close by any amount. Until that happens, you can't really hang your hat on it. My wave count says we likely completed wave 1 up and wave A of 2 down. Doesn't mean it's the only count. So slightly higher ultimate MEJT targets, and usually you don't have to wait long for it to print, and usually you go past the target. We gap down, hit lower low, and then closed over intraday lows. VIX spiked well past its upper Bollinger Band. So volume spike in futures. All these things suggest we're going to have a rally tomorrow, even though I can't count this decline as being over. I think if we do have the rally, it'll be a chance to put down an additional short position. But for right now, I think the recovery here, if it's maintained at the open, augurs well for trading higher tomorrow. Doesn't mean we're not going to go lower first. It's a pattern with the early low. That's today's call.